everyone. Welcome back to the PDPreps podcast, November 28th, coming to you live. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did, watching Oregon wallop Oregon State over there. We're opening with that, Keenan. My Ducks, Pac-12, go to the Pac-12 championship game. No, I'm kidding. All right, but no, great, really awesome NCS championship weekend. We have an NCS a section winner, St. Vincent. Congratulations to them playing in the NorCal championship game coming up this week. But yeah, this pod will be talking about that game. We'll be talking about Windsor and Cardinal Newman. Their seasons both coming to an end and really exciting championship games in Division 2 and Division 3. And in the end, yeah, we're also going to be previewing St. Vincent's NorCal regional game coming up this weekend. Keenan will have you covered with that one on Friday night at Casa Grande, and then we're going to wrap up. We're going to bring on our buddy Jordan Lattimore to talk about some hoops. Boys and girls hoops are starting to get underway around here in Napa and Sonoma, and yeah, Jordan was catching some action last week. Saw a few local teams, so we'll have him on later in the pod to talk some hoops. But Keenan, I guess I'll start with you. How was it watching your Beavers go out with the whimper, and then Jonathan Smith also leaving, unfortunately. What a weekend it was for the Beavers.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, well, it's only fair. I mean, it is only fair because obviously I brought it up last year around this time in the pod as well when you guys blew a 31-10 lead, which is so it's only fair. I have so many thoughts about the last couple days in Beaver Nation. Obviously, we were supposed. I honestly think we were supposed to be Washington. I thought we could have beat Washington, and then that would have set up even higher stakes for the Civil War. But obviously, knowing what we know now, Jonathan Smith is his head was not there. I don't think. Either way, doesn't matter. We got our butts kicked. Even your Uiagalelei sacked our Uiagalelei at the end too. Yeah. So lots of thoughts coming out of Beaver Nation. I know the players are pretty upset. There's a lot of players that are upset about Smith, not only about that loss, but as Smith leaving as well. So we'll see. Obviously got screwed, not without a conference right now. Have a couple year window to hopefully get it back, but yeah, it's I guess it's a good old cliche, Gus. When it rains, it pours, and it's pouring right now, which is pretty funny because it always rains up there. So it's pouring, but
and for all my. Well, go ahead. But I was gonna say for all my Oregon fans, it never rains in Autzen Stadium though. So sorry.
Well, yeah. I guess that's fair, but yeah, it's a tough time to be a Beaver. But at the end of the day, obviously Oregon and Washington are playing for that Pac-12 title. I know you're very confident in it. Obviously, we're not covering either school, so we're not going to make any predictions or go into it or anything. But it is what it is. I thought the Beavers for the last Pac-12 season played pretty well, except for a few games here or there. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think Smith's head was gone.
Yeah, the comments he made in the last couple of days about him being like, he's like, yeah, he's like, my mind's like, has been made up on this for a while.
Yeah, because that made it so much better. That made everything.
That was just twisting the knife a little bit. Yeah, that was tough to see, but no, I mean,
hey, I mean, you can't escape him. He's going to your conference now, so true. I don't know.
That's true. We'll see him again. We will see him again. No, I will say it was pretty fun to have the OSC Oregon rivalry kind of back to the last couple of years. Yeah, especially, I mean, again, last year's game unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it because I was driving back from Fresno from the state meet.
Probably fortunately for you because
that's what I'm saying. Very fortunately for me, I didn't have to watch. Yeah, that was a tough one to come back to. But anyway, I jest. It was a good fun here, but you enjoyed your Thanksgiving though. Good Thanksgiving for you and the fam.
Yep, good. Went down to Monterey yourself.
Yeah, just stay close to home. It is funny because like, I'll if you have a bunch of friends who are back and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, I have the whole week off. Let's do something, and we're like,
Yeah,
well, we're
exactly.
working Wednesday, we're working Friday, we're working Saturday. Like, there's no
We're
such thing
sports
as a day.
reporters. We're not. Or
It's
exactly.
just a normal week with the random Thursday off.
Imagine,
So
imagine being back in college and having the week off, and then having like a month off
I know, for
for
real.
that'd be crazy. Let's get to some playoff
There
football,
we go.
Gus. We're gonna
Bring it
start with
back
you.
in.
Yeah, we'll reel it back in. We're gonna start with you. El Cerrito, Windsor. I was watching the stream as well, but I mean, seeing it live in person must have been just a whole nother dimension. I mean, geez, Louise, everyone. I mean, this was it. This was the year for Windsor, or at least we thought. But why don't you go ahead, take us through it?
Yeah, maybe one of the most exciting games and heartbreaking, twisting, turning, like whatever adjective you want to use. Final score: El Cerrito 34, Windsor 31. El Cerrito gets the ball back with under 2 minutes left on a late fumble from Windsor. Windsor was leading by 3. Late fumble. El Cerrito comes back. They score in 40 seconds, 5 plays. They take a they take the lead with 1 minute and 8 seconds left, and then get a game-sealing interception, to end the game. And kind of a deja vu flashback to last year when these two teams played in the D3 championship, and kind of a different story where El Cerrito, won a big. Windsor rallied crazy in the second half, had a chance to, go down the field and either tie or win the game late, and then El Cerrito, won it with an interception. So, just third time around, or third straight year that these two teams have played in the playoffs, and all 3 games have been just electric. I mean, I think the 3 games have been decided by a total of 11 points over the last 3 years. 2021 it was a 1 point game. Last year was a 7 point game, and this year it's a 3 point game. So just like as tight of margins as you can imagine in all these games. But again, Windsor season comes to an end. Again, heartbreaking fashion. They were leading by 10 early in the fourth quarter. They were up 31-21 heading into the fourth. And then right before they fumbled there, right at the end, they just needed like one more first down and they can, wind the clock out, maybe even kick a field goal, like for some extra insurance or something. But actually, I guess that wouldn't have made any sense because they were only up 3. So
Mhm.
either way, it's like they kind of had the game, and then it just kind of, slipped away late. But I mean, I think a lot of credit goes to El Cerrito there for making some big plays when it mattered, for coming down and scoring, like in, a clutch drive there at the very end, taking
Yeah.
advantage of momentum in a moment where you needed it. So, I guess I'll kind of go through a bit of how the game went down though. But this is kind of funny. We had noticed that some of the El Cerrito players had shared a clip of you saying that you were from last week's pod, saying that you're curious to see how El Cerrito would respond after Windsor came out and punched them in the mouth. And
Which
actually,
is kind of what happened.
well, it's kind of, a little bit, but I'd say the first punch was thrown by El Cerrito. I mean, second play of the game, Gary Youngblood intercepts Judson Anderson 30-yard pick
Oh,
six,
true.
and it's like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, EC draws first blood. But then, like you said, Windsor comes back. 2 straight touchdowns. They take a 14-6 lead. They're going into the second quarter. Both touchdowns to Hayden Anderson. He had a great day. 3 touchdowns for him. But then second quarter belonged to El Cerrito. So like I had said, kind of a back and forth,
Yeah.
twisting and turning game. But 14-6 after the first. Windsor actually is driving to start to open the second quarter. They really had a good chance to make it 21-6 there, but then their drive kind of stalls out. Kyler Barons kicks a 33-yard field goal, so it's 17-6. And then El Cerrito, again, they have so many athletes on the outside. They have so many weapons. Explosiveness, I'd say, is like, the key word, used to describe them. But I think two or three plays like into their next drive, Gary Youngblood, who was the sophomore, who had the pick six to open the game, 68-yard catch and run, great pass from Michael Van Hook, just catches it in stride, gone. I mean, these kids are, crazy athletes. So, just like that, game flips on its head, from 17-6 to 17-14, and all of a sudden it's kind of a whole new ball game. Well, 2 plays into Windsor's next possession, tip pass intercepted by Gary Youngblood, 2 picks and a 68, 2 picks, one of them a pick 6 and a 68-yard touchdown in the first half for the sophomore. I mean, like, can't ask for a better first half than that. And then if El Cerrito cashes that in, I think a few plays later to take a 21-17 lead. which is how the score stood at the half. So, kind of again, El Cerrito throws the first punch. Windsor comes back, takes a quick lead, could make it more, and then El Cerrito, kind of answers right back, which was kind of, it was a total seesawing game. But a very key play that happened right before halftime was Windsor was trying to like no timeouts, you're just trying to like make something happen, like maybe you can get miracle touchdown or something like that, or at least get close and give Barons a chance to kick a field goal. But Judson hit Ananias Walker, the 3-star, prospect. Again, if you're listening to this, who he is. But hits him for a little, a quick out pass, and then Walker tries to like lateral it back to Hayden, fumbles it. El Cerrito gets it. They end up just like kneeing out the clock and ending it, and ending the half. But Walker was actually hurt on the play. He had ice taped around I think his like left ankle, but he was done for the day. So that's a huge loss. I mean, he had a great forced fumble early in the first half. It was picture perfect. I mean, highlight play. Like guy just hit him. He hit a guy full speed and just knocked the ball loose, and it was like Sports Center top 10 kind of stuff. But and then he also had like a 40-yard reception too on like his second touch of the game. So like, you lose a guy like that, who again, 3-star prospect, I mean, DJ Sexton, Windsor's head coach called him, their second best player, which I think is totally fair. And you lose him for the rest of the game, especially against a team like El Cerrito, big loss for them. So at halftime, again, all of the momentum is on El Cerrito's side, 21-17. You're thinking, and plus they also get the ball to open the second half, and you're just like, oh man, like this could be, El Cerrito scores here, and it could be danger zone right now for Windsor. Well, Windsor comes out, actually scores scores touchdowns on their first 2 drives of the second half, and they also get 2 stops as well, against El Cerrito. So again, momentum right back in Windsor's favor. It goes from 21-17 at the half to 31-21 in like a span of like 5 or 6 minutes. And Windsor is looking like the juggernaut that they've been around here all year. Great touchdown. A great route from Hayden Anderson got him open for an 11-yard touchdown, and then Max McFerrin had a great 20-yard touchdown too up the middle. Another good pass from Judson. It was really interesting seeing how Windsor played. With what El Cerrito was kind of giving them on defense, because El Cerrito, you could tell, had so much attention pressed on Hayden Anderson or on Ananias Walker again, in the first half. And then that left guys like Gunnar Erickson had a huge game. He had a bunch of great, or he had like 9 catches, 140 yards or something like that. So it was kind of the secondary guys, which again has been like Windsor's strength all year, is having all like so much depth at these skill positions. Yeah. And so that really showed for sure. I mean, Max had a great game. Gunnar had a great day. Hayden still, drawing, a Division III prospect in Kamani Jackson, Washington State commit. He still had 3 touchdowns and 90 receiving yards, great game for him. So just again, like I think I talked about this in in my preview last week, but just like the talent matching up on, or the talent matchup for both teams was just like, it was like almost 1-to-1 at like every position. It was really fun to watch. So anyway, so 31-21 heading into the fourth. Both teams kind of trade empty possessions to open the fourth, and then El Cerrito does score, so to make it 31-28 with about 8 minutes left. But Windsor again, Windsor hadn't really tried to run the ball a whole lot. They really relied on their passing game, which was working quite well for them. I think they had like Judson Anderson had like 340 passing, I want to say, like heading into the fourth quarter, like he was balling out. But then, again, you have the ball, you have a small lead, you just got to get some first downs, kill some clock out. If you score, game's probably over. And yeah, they did a great job of doing that. I think they converted on like 3 third downs. They got some really key first downs. They killed about 5 or 6 minutes off the clock. And honestly, it was kind of, I was over on the Windsor sideline, and it was kind of, I don't want to say there was any kind of premature celebration going on, but you could definitely feel the like we got this, like kind of vibe on the sideline, like where and especially after I think Max McFerrin had a first down conversion on a 2nd and 12. Great, a great little I think it was like a little dump off pass. Yeah, a little screen pass from Judson, got like a 13-yard gain all the way down to El Cerrito's 35. and Windsor sidelines thinking, here we go, we got this, one more first down, game's over. I think at that point there was like 2 minutes left. And then the very next play, there's a design run for Judson. He comes around the left side, gets hit hard. It kind of looked like his foot slipped a bit. I mean, they're playing on turf out there at Diablo Valley College. Looks like his foot kind of slipped a bit, and he just hit the ground hard, and the ball popped out. El Cerrito jumps on it. 1:49 left in the game at that point. And then again, 5 plays later, 41 seconds later of game time, El Cerrito is back in the end zone. There's a really big personal foul call too that helped get them a bunch of yardage. Late hit out of bounds. Got them kind of deep into Windsor territory, and then like 2 plays after that they scored. So just like one of these games that it's incredibly entertaining to watch. I mean, you were watching the stream. It was an electric atmosphere. I mean, just the back and forth nature of it. Both like 2 of the best teams in the section, just throwing haymakers left and right. Battling down the wire. Kind of how these games have been the last couple of years. And then, again, this is high school football. Like, one team is going to go home, thrilled and happy, and the other team is going to go home heartbroken. And that's especially how it went here. This being a section championship game, one team goes on to state, one team, your season's over. So just a really tough scene after the game for Windsor. I mean, this is probably, I think we've talked about this might be their most talented team ever. I mean, again, you have 2 3-star prospects on the outside. You have all these weapons coming back, from last year's, section runner-up team. And again, I know a section championship, a state championship were their goals. And they were very close to getting it this year, and this one is definitely going to hurt for a while. But I do think hats off to Windsor for having this amazing season. I mean, the last 3 years, Windsor football has reached heights that they haven't been, at in their entire, program history. I mean, they've gone to 3 straight section title games. They've been runners up twice. They won 1. They moved up in divisions. They were still a runner up in D2 this year. Some pretty amazing things to accomplish. Also, again, back, winning, winning league twice, beating Newman for the first 2 times, like, ever in your school's history. I mean, like some huge things that the senior class can be proud of kind of going out, but I know this one is definitely going to hurt. And I will say, I did want to mention, something quick about Judson Anderson too. I mean, he had 386 yards, 4 touchdowns. And a lot of people are only going to, remember the 4 turnovers that he had. He had the 3 interceptions and then the fumble at the end. And I know that he was hurting probably more than anybody else after that game. But I just want to say, this team does not get this far without Judson Anderson and what he did this year.
No.
I mean, one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the area, I'd say this year. I mean, just with his arm, I mean, captaining this offense. Again, like there were so many games that Windsor that he just didn't need to play in the second half because Windsor was up by so many points. But he had a pretty amazing senior year. I mean, coming off of a very good junior year. So I know he's going to wear this one pretty hard. But again, this team does not get to have this much success without Judson having done what he did this year. So hats off to all of the Windsor seniors. A lot of question marks about what next year's team is going to look like. I mean, you have, I don't know, 20-something seniors graduating, almost, a vast majority of your skill positions. Obviously, Hayden Anderson's back next year for senior year. I think you have, is it Don Morris, I think, who's back next year. One of the Morris brothers is back next year. A bunch of their guys on their defense is back next year. And then we get to kind of see Carter Vos, the freshman quarterback, take over the reins of quarterback next year. But still, I mean, a lot of question marks kind of going ahead for this Windsor team, but just a really fun team to cover. I mean, just an electric team to cover this year. Again, I think they're going to end the year as the number 1 team in our rankings. And yeah, I mean, I think that they were legitimately, one of, if not the best teams in the North Bay. I think that, games against San Marin or games against Marin Catholic would have been really close against Windsor. And just based on how this weekend went with San Marin losing to Acalanes and with Marin Catholic, I know taking care of business against Newman, but I kind of feel like Windsor probably, would have a really good chance to win both of those matchups too. So, anyway, that's my kind of spiel on this game, but just a really entertaining game. Just again, a brutal result and a brutal end of the year for Windsor. But I mean, again, what they built the last 3 years is, nothing that, any Windsor team has ever done. So for sure, something to be proud about, for this outgoing class. So, But I am curious though. You watching the game as a from home on the stream. I don't know, what did anything kind of stand out, just watching it, watching it at home, just kind of, watching the game stream of it versus, me being on the sideline.
Yeah, um, yeah. I mean, it definitely like sucks not obviously not covering that game because it's a different feeling. It's almost like you're watching like the NFL on TV. You're like, oh, like what's gonna happen? Yeah, like you're not in that moment. Um, but yeah, I thought honestly, and I'm pretty sure you thought. I mean, we could talk about this now, but I was probably with you in the fact that I thought Windsor had it
Yeah.
done. Um, but then again, like after it was over, I kind of go back to oh my gosh, Windsor has not done it again, but this has happened to Windsor a couple times this season. Like up big and then they just kind of shoot themselves in their own foot. Um, it's just I mean, I was telling the Carnelian coaches after the game, but I was like, I hate this part. I don't like it at all because these
Yeah.
these kids gave it their all.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, man, Windsor. I mean, I would say most talented team in Sonoma County history. Obviously, more Sonoma County history than I do, but um, I would say most talented Sonoma County team in at least recent memory. So,
Yeah,
uh,
for sure.
yeah, they at the end of the day, man, they had it and it just slipped away from them. But I don't think this game defines any of those players by any stretch of the imagination.
For sure.
So yeah, I honestly think Windsor's program has taken like huge leaps and leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. That I think in that upper division of the new realignment, I think they are going to be just fine, and I think they could surprise people as well with those young pieces that are coming back. So yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on it, man. Credit to Windsor, do it, what was I going to say? Really picking it up as the season went on. So,
Yeah.
yeah, credit to the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, 22 seniors are graduating, from this year's team. I mean, all of their big skilled players, but they are bringing back 16 juniors, including, I believe it was Wyatt Morris, and obviously Hayden Anderson's coming back too. So there should have some kind of good building pieces, and also Jacob Byrne too, who's been a really good, defensive end, tight end for them as well. So for sure some good pieces. But back to your point though about, like, yeah, this kind of happened again to Windsor. I mean, so they're three, I guess, losses, they're two losses and a tie. Escalon, they were up, late in that game, and Escalon came back and won. Campolindo, I think Windsor, I think Windsor was driving late, and if I remember correctly, I think they might have missed a field goal to win that game or something. But
Yeah, they
I
did.
mean, all three of their non-wins, it's just, I mean, you can't say losses with a tie, but it kind of feels like a loss. But all three of those games were probably winnable and kind of within their grasp. And I mean, I'd kind of thought too that, at this point of the year, after having a couple of games like that, you learn how to close games, and you kind of figure out like what you have to do to, finish off these wins, and just, one or two mistakes will definitely cost you. And I think that's exactly what happened in this game. So, again, all that being said, incredible year. I mean, again, to win 30 plus games over the last 3 seasons, that's a feat that I don't think, again, any Windsor, stretch of teams has ever done in their, program's history. So, just definitely excuse me. Definitely a great season. So nothing to hang your heads about, for Windsor. But yeah, I know that they would have wanted to go a bit farther than this. So, all right, a quick pivot now over to the game that you were at over on Saturday night. 2 Saturday games for us. Obviously, Windsor had played on Friday, but was this the fourth straight meeting? I think I tweeted out there, but I think this was the fourth straight meeting between these two programs,
it was
in
the
a section championship game. Marin Catholic final score, Marin Catholic 24, Colonel Newman 3. I was surprised at this score and the result. I was I was watching the stream from home. I thought that this would have been a much closer game. I thought that again. I think we had all picked Cardinal Newman. The last couple of weeks, Marin Catholic has not looked like the Marin Catholic of old, and Newman has just been rolling. I mean, again, they beat a very good Los Lomas team. 2 weeks ago, they had killed everybody. Kind of, after that, after losing to Windsor, Zach Holman was looking like an all-world back, and Marin Catholic just really like had their number. I mean, again, this is what makes Mazi Moyed, over there at MC just such a great coach, is that he can take away your number one option in Zach Holman, and you have to have other guys, beat you. And Newman just didn't get enough, just didn't get enough help from around the roster. Plus, too, I think it was what did Newman have? 4 or 5 turnovers, I want to say. Like
four interceptions.
Yeah. So when those stacks or when those facts kind of go against you, it's going to be hard to beat a team like MC. But again, you were there. I am curious kind of what the scene was like, how it all unfolded. Because again, I really thought that this would be a much more competitive game.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to interrupt you, but bless you for that big sneeze, by the way. Yeah, so it was funny. We were talking about Windsor, and how this could be like Windsor's year, right? This could be Windsor's year.
Yeah.
We were talking about Newman the same way. This could be Newman's year to get over the Marin Catholic hump that has plagued them the past couple of years. Reminder that the last time Newman beat Marin Catholic in the playoffs was 2019, on their way to a state title that year. Yeah. But last couple of years it's been Marin Catholic. I know 2 years ago it was like 49-7. Last year was a little bit closer. I think it was like 40 something to 22. Yeah, and honestly the confidence coming out of Newman camp was pretty high. Not gonna lie, but it just did not start out well for Newman at all. First two plays were quarterback Jason Coulter for Newman. Wyatt Konechly, he was out. He was in concussion protocol for the game that he suffered.
That was a huge. When you had texted me that earlier, I was like, that's actually a huge loss, because Konechly has stepped up the last couple of weeks, has been really good at quarterback.
So he was out. So Jason Coulter is in, and it's not like Jason Coulter is like it's in his first start. Newman has been switching out Coulter and Konechly all season long. Mm-hmm. So now Coulter's in. First snap, he slips on the snap, falls backwards. Second play, Holman gets stuffed behind the line. The third play, Coulter finds Zion Cargill on an out route. But was not enough to move the chains. So almost immediately, Newman forced a punt, and MC took advantage. That's what Marin Catholic does. They take advantage.
You can't make mistakes. You can't make mistakes against Marin Catholic.
No, not at all. And Peter McCauley, who's been at quarterback for Marin Catholic the last couple of games, who's normally plays as a tight end. Big body, so tough to bring down. He finds the tight end Jordan Rogers wide open on their first drive for a TD. So it's just like when you jumble all things together, not the start you want for Newman at all. And it's it was just kind of sad to see, and like it was almost like the life had sucked out of Newman's sideline after the first 2 drives, but Newman's offense regained, kind of got it together. And actually Newman drove all the way down to the Marin Catholic 11-yard line, ended up stalling out there. So they were able to get a field goal from the trusty leg of Patrick Gardner, who's been on fire kicking wise this year. Yep. But I will say the highlight of that drive is number 99, big Mai Tai Fagata. They used him as a fullback quite a lot. And in their running game this week, he was able to rumble for a couple yards on 4th and 2 to keep that drive alive. So Newman field goal, 7-3 ball game. Ensuing possession, I believe it was Rogers again that was running down the left sideline, and Newman actually forces a fumble. Kenyon Hanlon strain, pounces on it, and Newman has the ball now at their own 36. So a possible momentum change there, Gus. After the slow start, Newman can get right back in this thing. And I mean, they don't. They went for it on 4th and 10 from, I believe, like Marin Catholic's 40, and it was almost intercepted there by Charles Williams. So that was a turnover on downs. And again, what does Marin Catholic do? They go down. They score another touchdown. McCauley, uh, I mean, it was almost like magical. Like he ran away from, he got away from a swarm of Newman defenders and was able to dive towards the end zone, score. So now we're looking at a 14-7 game, and that's kind of when it all went downhill for the Newman offense. Interception number 1 happened, which led to a Marin Catholic field goal, and then another interception happened right before half, which it was a beautiful play by Morris, I believe was his name, by the Newman cornerback. So going into halftime, 17-3, Marin Catholic gets the ball after the second half too. So going into halftime, Newman is not in the best shape whatsoever, not in the best scenario. But I will tell you this, Newman's defense came out incredible in the second half. Their defense has been pretty solid all year long. But in the second half, they came out and played almost lights out. Charles Williams kind of had the dagger TD in the third quarter there. It was a long run off of another Cardinal Newman interception, by the way. But that made it 24-3. But every other Marin Catholic drive, Gus, in that second half was a punt. So it was like five 3-and-outs forced by Newman's defense. So Newman's defense was keeping him in the game, but at the end of the day, too many mistakes against Marin Catholic on the offensive side of the ball, Gus. It's not a recipe for success. And I really don't think that Marin Catholic was that much better than Cardinal Newman either. I really don't, but it just comes down to those crucial mistakes. Zach Homan gave it his all, 24 carries for 88 yards total. He ended up getting some sort of a groove later on in the game, but just can't get over that new Marin Catholic hump as of yet. But still, I think a stellar season for Marin Catholics, or for golly, I'm mixing up the thing. A stellar season for Cardinal Newman. Starting out the season 9-0, bouncing back after a tough Windsor loss to win those 2 playoff games pretty easily against American Canyon and Las Lomas as the 3 seed. This is easily in the last 3 years, this has easily been their best season. The last couple years they've had 4 loss seasons. Now they come in, they have a 2-loss season overall. Huge step for that Cardinal Newman program. And we talked about Windsor graduating a bunch of seniors. Cardinal Newman doesn't really graduate that many impact guys, and they have a plethora of young guys ready to go that have gotten a lot of experience. Danny Benjamin, their defensive line coach, was telling me after the game, 9 of the 11 defensive starters weren't seniors. They only had 2 starters. So if you're Cardinal Newman, I mean, that program, you're in great shape going forward. So, great season for the Cardinals, no doubt about it. 11-2 is not a record to hang your hat about, but just came up short again against Marin Catholic in an NCS title game. But I mean, like you said, you were watching the stream, so I'd love to get kind of your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that your point about how this was a very winnable game for Newman. Yeah, I mean, I think that was. I mean, even watching the game, I wasn't really like uber impressed with Marin Catholic either. I guess. I mean, again, I think their defense obviously, like made some huge plays, to get those 4 turnovers, and their offense, again, they didn't miss on their opportunities to capitalize on those mistakes. But I know the story with MC this year has been they've been superly heavily penalized. They've been dealing with tons of injury issues. Obviously, Charles Williams is one of the best backs in the Bay Area, and he was super solid both ways, for sure. But I mean, you could definitely see that this MC team has been, they're banged up. They have a bunch of guys hurt. They had, I believe, their number one kind of wideout. I think it's career Greer Arthur, I think his name is. I believe he missed the game. He didn't play. And I've heard that they have a bunch of defensive starters out. And they've also been you mentioned McCauley had a good game at quarterback, but yeah, I mean he's had to he's taken over the last couple or in the last couple weeks, just because they've been having some issues finding a pretty consistent quarterback. So for all that being said, it's like this MC team just finds a way, to get it done where, we've seen, iterations of them in the past where they've been much, much better and much more dominant, but they still just find ways to win and get big wins in spots like this. So a lot of credit to MC. Yeah. And then again, credit to Newman too, I think for finishing off a pretty good year. I mean, again, 10 wins, best season so far under Sanchez in his third year. Yeah, and then again, third straight NCS, title game appearance, or 3 for 3 for Sanchez in NCS title games to make it there. But this is, I think, Newman's 4th in a row, I'd say. So, right, I'm pretty sure it is. So, anyway, this has been like Newman has been, one of the most consistent, programs that, in this area. And like you mentioned too, with all those guys coming back, I just, MC or Newman is set for a couple years, I think. I mean, you mentioned, I think there's only, what was I looking up? 16 seniors that they graduate, which might 15, seem like a lot. Yeah, which might seem like a lot, but like they have 19 juniors coming back, and most of those guys are big impact players. I mean, Patrick Gardner's coming back is one of the most consistent kickers, in the area. Jamari Gentry, one of the best kind of two-way guys. Jesse Myers, one of the best defensive ends in the area. Coulter's coming back. We'll see. We'll see how he plays for his senior year. Same thing with Wyatt Kneckley, quarterback too. Yeah. I mean, like Zach Raya's coming back. I'm just going through.
Devin Bertoli's coming back.
Devin Bertoli, Madi Kamara, Logan Rodriguez, Jimmy McKenzie. Like, I mean, they have all these names who are coming back. I mean, Aiden Woods. Like, they have all these dudes who are coming back who are going to, Newman is going to be set. I think for the next couple years, I'd say just with how many good young players they have too, and that's not to mention the underclassmen. Some of the sophomores and the freshmen too that that they've had up too, like Zion Cargill. Is it Maite or is it Mate? How do you pronounce it?
Matai, I think.
Matai.
I think it's how
us here at the PDPreps pronunciation bureau. We're not great in that, but
yes. Hold on, because I kind of want to get this right. Because I know you spell it with a bunch of apostrophes too, but oh geez, come on, there he goes. Yeah, Matai Fagata, I believe. Is
I know that last name is familiar because I think we've had a couple Fagatas come through the area, like at Rancho and Windsor and stuff. So, so I think I've seen that name before. But anyway, getting back on track, great season for Newman, great season for Windsor. Again, the 2 top teams in the area, and it will be very fun to see them be competing next year. In the Super League that we have going on, especially against like the Marin Catholics and the San Marins. It'll just be a really fun kind of tri-county Super League to see how everyone fares against each other. Great. So definitely will be. Well, anything else on this game, Keenan, or should we move on to our winner of the week, St. Vincent?
No, although I did want to say this, the PA announcer for Marin Catholic, because it was technically Marin Catholic's home game, so they had all the changing. It was kind of funny because late in the game there was a tackle on Homan late in the backfield, and you hear the Marin Catholic PA announcer. He goes, Homan tackled in the backfield by my son. Da 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 da. And the Newman faithful was not happy at all.
That's so funny.
They were not happy, but I mean for good reason.
You mentioned Holman, and I think that is actually one last thing that we should mention.
Absolutely.
Definitely, we need to give a lot of flowers to Zach Holman for one of the best years, seasons for a running back in Redwood Empire history. I was going back through some of the stats. Shout out to Cal High Sports that compiles all these records and such. But going back, I think as far as like the 80s or the 90s. I mean, I forget how far back some of those went, but I mean. I think there were only 3 other players that I could find in Redwood Empire history, and they were all from small schools like Willits, I think Tomales, I think Cloverdale too. That's what it was. Yeah, there are three players I believe who have had more yards than him, and that was Levi Leon in from Willits in 2004. He had 2,554. Chris Ludlow from Tamales in 1997 had almost 2,700 yards, and then the Red Empire record for single season is T.J. Bird, who had 2,868 in 1997 with Cloverdale. So Zach Holman finishing this year with 2,428 total yards and 36 touchdowns. Just like
9 yards a carry is absurd too. That's
10 games, 10 games with over 100 yards. I mean, again, against Marin Catholic, that was only the third time all season he'd been held to under 100 yards. So a workhorse-like season, a record book season. I mean, again, he set the all-time, Newman record. And again, just big shouts out to Zach Holman because this, like we had said about, Judson with Windsor, I don't think Newman absolutely does not have this much success without how good Holman was this year. So hats off to Zach Holman, one of the best running back seasons we've ever seen in this area, especially from a big school. I mean, it's small schools, might be a bit easier to put up some big numbers, but big schools playing good competition like Holman did all year. Just hats off to him. Great season for Zach Holman.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And well, one more Newman player I did want to shout out because I don't think Holman's success would be nearly as successful. But Matt Hilden, having that weird career starting on the offensive line, then going to quarterback last year, now dropping back to the line. I think that was a huge help with Newman's line this year. He's graduating, but I don't think Holman would nearly have the success as he had if Hilden wasn't anchoring that line. That experience down there too. So so shout out Matt Hilden as well. But yeah, like you said, Holman, fantastic season, and I'm not sure if we're going to see something like this anytime soon. Anyways, but anyways, guys, let's head on over. Big winner of the week, St. Vincent 48, Salesian 12. Last year, St. Vincent was ever so close to getting that NCS pennant, but 2-point conversion. It was 111 points scored in that one. 111 points were not scored in this one. But yep. St. Vincent, left no doubt in this one, Gus. Took care of business, 48-12. Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, neither of us were there. I was watching the stream a bit, but I was definitely more so focused on the Newman Marin Catholic game because this game was over pretty quick. Not super surprised by the result. I mean, St. Vincent has been, probably the number one team in Division 6 all year, and honestly, I think they probably would have had a pretty good chance to win the Division 5 title this year. I mean, that's how good St. Vincent has been this year. Salesian I know is pretty young this year as well. I know that the St. Vincent coaching staff is I wouldn't say worried, but they're looking at Salesian as being like a pretty good competitor in Division 6 over the next couple of years. So don't be surprised if these teams also will match up again. The next couple of seasons for the in D6. But St. Vincent has just gotten better over the last couple of weeks. They've rolled through the playoffs with uber success. And yeah, I mean, it just wasn't, it all kind of played out to script, but definitely some, big redemption factor here for St. Vincent. I think we had mentioned in the last week's pod about how last year's, title game ended, that crazy shootout against Clear Lake, same setting, same night, Saturday night at Rancho Cotati, and again, I know that they had talked about that, last year's game heading into this year's game. So, shook off all the nervousness, they got over the hump, some redemption for sure. But yes, second title in the last 3 years and third straight NCS, title game appearance for the Mustangs. So they're again on the up and up, just like Windsor, just like Newman. I mean, again, they've been one of the most consistent programs, in this area, especially for small schools. And yeah, I think they've if it wasn't clear before, they have fully emerged as a small school powerhouse in the Bay Area. So definitely a force to be reckoned with. We'll see how they have a big test this week in the NorCal championship game. We'll get into that here in a bit, but yeah, I mean, they have some studs and a lot of guys who are coming back too. I mean, some guys who showed out this week. I mean, Gabe Casanovas had a great game. I think he had four total touchdowns for him, 2 rushing, 2 passing. Mason Catarelli, the sophomore, running back, 130 rushing yards. He's gonna, he has 2 more years of eligibility. Those 2 kids, Casanovas and Catarelli, are going to be one of the one of the most fun kind of duos to watch over the next couple of years. I'd say in this entire area. And then I know Ty Nickens being back too was a big point that St. Vincent's coaching staff was making, and again, Ty should be they kind of need him this week against a very, very good Palo Alto team with some really good talent on the outside. So St. Vincent again, great season, still going, and they're again also set up for some future success here with some of their guys coming back and this coaching staff staying in place. So definitely a big win for St. Vincent. Hats off to them. And second title in the last 3 years, and dynasty. I think you could probably say, I don't know. 2 and 3 years, I'd say is probably getting close. But
do we even know what a dynasty is anymore in sports?
I guess we have to define what a dynasty is.
No one knows what a dynasty is in sports anymore.
I don't know. Two section titles in 3 years, I'd say is getting close to one. Maybe they have to win one more.
Yeah,
to fully call it one. But I'd still say three title game appearances in 3 years. I'd say is getting close to building one.
I will say, you mentioned earlier about Windsor, Judson probably being the best quarterback in the area this year, but I think Casanovas could be right up there. He's been as a sophomore too. He's been as surgical as they come. So, I wouldn't put him at the same level as Judson. Obviously,
a little different competition for sure. But
exactly.
But I think you're right, though. Especially with him and also Carter Vos coming in at Windsor, I think there's some really fun quarterback prospects coming, who are coming up, through the pipelines the next couple of years that should be, really fun to watch. So, but Casanovas, I think, has a very good chance. I think he might be the best, but the best, returning quarterback in the area coming next year. So I think without a doubt, that's Casanovas.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So again, that rounds out our 3 section title games. We didn't have a designated game of the week because we figured that we should all give everyone their flowers and things like that. But let's move on to our predictions, or our preview predictions. I normally say previews, but it's going to be preview.
Our picks. There we go.
So, all right. All of us went 1-2 this past week. Total playoff records are 12-7 for you, Gus. 14-5 for me, and Jordan is 9-10. And Gus, I think if we did the math right, if we're combining your and I's regular season records with playoff records, we are tied currently at the moment.
I think that's right. Yeah. So it all comes down to this weekend. Then if St. Vincent wins, it all comes down to next weekend probably. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess. But it's almost like a chess game. Like if St. Vincent wins, then I have a game over you, and then I could just pick the same thing you do.
That's true. Oh, that's true. That's true.
So I guess this is for all the
this is for all the marbles right here, I guess.
This is for all the marbles. So anyways, obviously we all got Windsor wrong, all got Newman wrong, but we got St. Vincent right. But Gus, before we talk some hoops, let's preview this huge NorCal Regional Bowl game, Division 6 AA St. Vincent versus Palo Alto at Casa Grande High School, Friday, 7:30 p.m. So local game here for St. Vincent. They could stay home a little bit. We know what St. Vincent possesses. We know all the weapons they have, how well they've been playing. But Palo Alto, their Division 1 Central Coast section. They are pretty scary, Gus, aren't they?
Yeah, this is definitely some David versus Goliath vibes going on in this game. St. Vincent's enrollment is, I think, either at or around or under 200 students. Well, Palo Alto has around 2,000 kids in their entire school. This is the same. I believe this is also the school that Devontae Adams and was it Jock Peterson? I think they also are both graduates of Palo Alto. And then a fun other nugget here is that Andrew Luck, since he retired from the NFL, is also now an assistant coach at Palo Alto. So if you want to get a glimpse of Andrew Luck, head out to Casa Grande on Friday night at 7:30. He might be out there. So So quick thing, I got to plug my computer in real quick. But yeah, this is so Palo Alto coming in at 8-5. They're the Central Coast Section Division 4 champs. So the way that the CCS has a different kind of playoff model, so it's not based on division, or it's not based on enrollment. It's kind of all based on competitive equity. So however well you fare throughout the season, the section basically comes at the playoff time and basically breaks you into divisions based on your resume in the regular season. So they were put into Division 4. They were in Division 5 the year before. They actually won the section title in Division 5, and this year they were better, so they got bumped up to Division 4, and they won the section title there in a really crazy game actually too. I was looking back. I think they beat
One
Mountain
point
View.
game, right?
They beat Mountain View by 1 point, and I believe it was Mountain View went for a 2-point conversion to win the game late, and Pally made a stand to win the game in a crazy back and forth battle. So they're coming in off of that really emotional big win for them, section title for them in 2 years. But yeah, a bit more on Pally. I believe they're the Cougars. What's their mascot?
They're
the
Vikings.
The Vikings.
Way off.
The Viking. Yeah, way different. Vikings and Cougars. Yeah, but they went 3-2 in the Deanza League, which is widely considered to be one of the best leagues in the Central Coast section. Again, they played against all the Central section also does like A and B leagues, and they played most of their games against A League teams. 36 points per game on offense, 27 points, allowed on defense. Very kind of balanced offense. They have a very, very good quarterback as senior Declan Parker. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, only has 4 interceptions this year, over almost 2,500 passing yards. He has 9 games over 100 yards this year. Postseason, he's been great too. He has 600 yards passing, 70% completion rate, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. He actually had both of his picks in the championship game against Mountain View last week. But yeah, he's just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He has one of the best weapons in the entire section in I believe it's Jason Ozen. I hope I pronounced that right. 6'1", 185 senior wide receiver. He's number 2 in the section in receiving yards with 1,100. He also has 14 touchdowns. He's 6 games with over 100 yards receiving. Also a bit of a rushing threat. He's 4 rushing touchdowns. But he's not the only guy that they have. I mean, they also have a tall wide receiver, 6'3", 200 in Jeremiah Fung, a junior. 6 touchdowns, 800 receiving yards for him. Also has 3 picks on defense too, so kind of a good 2-way guy. And then their lead back, Jeremiah Madrigal. They only 809 rushing yards this year. They don't really run the ball a ton, but definitely still kind of keeps you honest with a guy like that. But then some of their bigger guys too. It's like I was kind of marveling at some of the guys that they have on their line. I mean, so the big guy, and this is where the pronunciations are going to totally kill me because they have a bunch of Samoan kids with names that are very hard to pronounce. So I didn't really try to practice these. So apologies to anybody listening who knows these kids, or if you're listening. But Ignacio Tupo, 6'6", 290, 3-star prospect, offensive lineman. He's got offers from Arizona, Yale, Cal, Utah, Washington. Probably going to be going to Washington based on some of the stuff that I saw. Tavita Fushimaloe, 6'1", 320. Jeremiah Stallworth, 6'6", 320. Dennis Kalatoglu, 6'4", 225. So I think I got a couple of those right. I think I got a couple of those right. But still, 6'6", 290, 6'1", 320, 6'6", 320, 6'4", 225. They got some big boys up front. St. Vincent has some very good linemen too. I mean, again, I think their line is one of their big strengths, but you just can't teach some size like this. So I have heard that some of their bigger guys like Tupo and Stallworth have both been kind of banged up and hurt this year. So I'm not really sure if they're 100% or if they're going to be fully available. But if those guys play, big time difference makers. And then for sure they have a couple guys who are very good on defense. Junior linebacker Joseph Kessler, 173 total tackles. I don't know if there's any home cooking there, because I know that some teams like to kind of juice up their stats a bit. But if that is accurate, that's number 5 in the entire state in total tackles. also has 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, so kind of a game wrecker on defense. But yeah, I mean, they have another linebacker, junior Roman Jacobs, with 141 tackles, a couple sacks, forced fumble, block punt. I mean, some of these guys can, their weapons on offense, obviously, with Ozin, and then with Declan Parker as kind of that passing duo, and then with some of the guys that they have on defense, like Kessler and Jacobs and a couple other guys too, like they have some dudes. I think is the best way to sum it up. Kind of a dude off here. I think. I mean, again, St. Vincent also has a ton of dudes. St. Vincent also has a ton of dudes. I mean, again, like their entire roster. We can kind of go off.
The Dude Bowl.
The Dude Bowl, exactly. But yeah, no, I do think this is going to be a very, very tall task for St. Vincent to win this game. Just looking at all of the things that I presented here, I just think that some of those guys on the line, when you go 6'6", 290, when you go 6'6", 320, like you just can't teach size like that. And it's also hard to simulate that in practice. I mean, this is going to be the biggest and best team that St. Vincent has gone up against all year. They've risen to a lot of these challenges for sure, but I just think that this is going to be too big of a challenge. Even a home game, basically, at Casa Grande. I see all these experts saying, I know that Pally went 8-5, but I mean, even like the guys at Cal High Sports and people who have covered this team all year is like 6 AA is too low for Pally. And just kind of with all of that information, I have to pick Palo Alto here. I mean, I just think that they're too big. They just have more talent. And St. Vincent, if you want to use this as motivation, 100% go for it. Be my guest. But I just think that this Pally team is just a really tough draw for St. Vincent. And I don't know if they can get it done. So we'll see if they can prove me wrong. But not the first time that St. Vincent would have proven me wrong. So
now you're bringing that back.
I am, of course. So but we'll see. But I am going to pick Palo Alto in this game.
Yeah, I mean, just going off their schedule here. I mean, I know they're 8-5, but they played some really tough teams. Like they got shut out by Los Gatos, who actually is playing El Cerrito in their NorCal regional game too. So Windsor could have possibly played Los Gatos actually. Menlo Atherton, they got shut out. The Menlo school, who's in their division, they only lost 14-0. I hear that they were a little banged up for that one as well. But I mean, they can put up points though. I mean, but that doesn't matter because you know what? Gus, you say David versus Goliath. I'm going David in this one. I mean, St. Vincent's program has been on the absolute up and up for the past couple of years. And the talent that they have. And I mean, I just have a feeling. I just have that feeling. Or should I know Jordan's going to be here in a minute. Should I lead it up? Look, man. Look, man. St. Vincent, man. St. Vincent's going to get it done. I think that they're going to get it done. I think they're going to find a way to win. I think that they are fully focused, full on in business mode right now. They want to keep going. They want to still play football. So, and keep in mind, like, even though sure, Palo Alto may have the bigger line. We've seen it in past matchups. I'll talk about like Windsor Newman, for example, where Newman had the bigger line, but Windsor's line, just took it to him, even though they were a lot smaller. So
yeah, it's true.
With that, we'll see what kind of scheme St. Vincent comes out in for scheme. Jesus, you got me with all the Palo Alto names. Now I can't even. But yeah, I'm going with St. Vincent. Jordan's going with St. Vincent as well. He would probably.
It's all me. I'm on an island over here, the Pally Island.
The Palo Alto Island. But I will say, Gus, I do agree with you. It's going to be a very, very tall task.
Sure.
All right, Jordan Lattimore is now joining us. Jordan, I was just talking. I was like, look, man, St. Vincent's going to get it done, man.
Look, man.
Look, man. St. Vincent is going to get it done. We were talking about how this is kind of a David Goliath matchup of a football game. But yeah, man, St. Vincent, man, they're going to get it done.
They are going to get it done indeed. Yes, yes, indeed.
I'll be the bad guy. That's fine. I'll be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Gus picking against him again?
I'm picking Palo Alto.
He's on his own Palo Alto Island.
He's on his own little island.
I'm on
He's on his own little island, man.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
But yeah, I mean that kind of wraps up our football talk for this week. But Jordan, we're having you on because I know you didn't cover any football. Your teams were out early, unfortunately. But hoops has started for you. I know you just covered Justin Siena Windsor. You know, a local Napa Sonoma County matchup there. Just kind of talk about what you're seeing from the hoop scene a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, yeah, so as you mentioned, I got to cover Justin Siena's kind of opening slate of home games. The first game was just a foundation game, kind of like a charity game, but still, it was against Benicia, a really good team. So really good, test to kind of see what they were made of. And I was impressed with Justin in both games. They lost the first one against Benicia, which really wasn't official. But I think what really has been impressive to me so far about them as a team is they kind of seem like they know what they are offensively. Like they know what they are. Their identity is kind of set. They're going to be playing through Jaden Washington, and they're going to be playing through the other guy. I got to make sure his name is right. Shoot, my bad. I am tripping. My bad.
It's okay. Gus and I just went through a whole.
It's a long name. I want to make sure it's right. It's good. They're playing through their guys, and they're really, really, really good. I think their ability to shoot the ball and also play inside and out. It's very effective, and I think they've learned so far. Like, in order for us to take that real next step and take that next leap, it's going to come on the defensive end, and that's what really they kind of showed against Windsor, right? Windsor. All credit to them. All credit to their coaching staff. Alec Colbert got them guys playing really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those guys shoot the lights out, and they drive and kick really, really well. They had Justin in all kinds of rotations that entire game. But again, Justin, they're realizing like we're gonna have to get stops because our offense is gonna carry us. I think their offense being so good, again with Washington being in there in the low post, being able to play make, they're gonna get wherever they want to have court. So even though that kind of alleviates pressure off their defense, they got to understand, and I think they learned through that game against Windsor in a really good win, we're going to have to get stops in order to really take that next step and kind of repeat, as VVAL champs. But, that's kind of what's going on, at least with, those two teams. I got to shout out, though, American Canyon, 4-0. Look, they play more games than any other team in VVAL. So, they've had more opportunities to go prove who they are. But in those games, I mean, they're killing teams. They're averaging nearly 70 points a game. Julius Wade, Jack Turner. I mean, these guys really, really good guards who can really score with the best of them. They're a team to definitely watch this year going into BVAL play, in about a month and a half. So I think it's going to be really interesting top three there at the top of VVAL. You got American Canyon. Obviously, Petaluma is going to be good again.
Yeah.
And Justin, I think it's going to be a really, really tight race. I don't think Justin goes 12-0 again in league play this year. I think it's a really, really good conference. I just think it's going to be really, really tight. But honestly, I think that makes it better for us. It's going to be better games, better coverage, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see it for sure.
This is I'm looking at. I mean, so a few things to go off real quick. A really fun game happening tonight, November 28th. American Canyon is playing against Montgomery. Montgomery should be the best team in Sonoma County and probably one of the best teams in the North Bay this year. So a real big test to kind of see where this AmCam team really stacks up. I'll be curious to kind of see how that one shakes out. But as far as Justin, I mean, so this is a team that, I mean, again, last year, I believe they made it to a NorCal, they made like a NorCal championship, I think it was. Like probably one of their best teams like in a long time for sure. But so many guys, I mean, their top four guys are gone from that. I mean, Vincent Jackson, Travis Hightower, Mile Blunt, Asher Cleary. I mean, all these guys are gone now. So I don't know, what is kind of the outlook for this team going forward? I mean, do they I know they have Jaden Washington back, Dallas Logwood's coming back.
Best name ever.
There we go, Dallas Logwood.
I know, right?
But I mean, how does this team kind of look going forward? I mean, do you kind of see this team as maybe being one of these, what are they? They're in Division 4, I believe, in the NCS. I mean, do you see them maybe as being a kind of another deep run in a D4 type of teams?
I can definitely see them making a run because they not only have Washington, but I really like this kid, Nick Haramas. I want to make sure I got his
There you
name
go.
right. I had it
Got it.
written down, but
There
it was
it
kind of
is.
scribbled, man. Nick Haramas. This guy, so against Windsor, sorry, against Benicia, the first game, he had 28 points. He was prolific. He can create. He goes isolation. He can do a lot of different things. And I think going forward. Give me 1 second. Appreciate it. Sorry, that's my dad stepping in. So you got Nick Haramas who can create off the dribble, isolation, right? He can take pressure away from a guy like Washington who can do it all in the low post. So I just think those components together give them a really balanced offensive look. And again, as long as they have the identity that they want on offense, I think it can carry them as far as they want to go.
So, Jordan, kind of also, just looking forward. I know Justin's only played two, one real game, couple foundation games, few scrimmages and stuff. But season is just getting rolling. But we're heading into basketball tournament time here pretty soon. So yeah, I mean, just Justin having any kind of cool big tournaments coming up. What about the rest of the Napa scene? And Mass. I think there's a good I think there's a good Napa High tournament happening this weekend or something like that. So yeah, what's kind of coming up for the Napa hoop scene?
Yeah, so for boys, obviously you have the Napa tournament, and then also for girls, there's going to be the Sonoma Valley tournament going on as well over at Sonoma Valley. So there's going to be a lot of Napa-oriented tournaments going on with a lot of different North Bay teams kind of coming down to the Sonoma area and the Napa area. So it's going to be a great opportunity for coverage, and I'm excited to kind of give it to everybody. And I think it's going to be a very interesting just basketball scene for the area. Especially just given how competitive I think this league is going to be. I think it's really going to kind of be that turning point when guys really kind of get a grip on, okay, who is really going to be the power kind of teams in this league and in this conference. And then that can kind of give implications and kind of give some type of heads up on what are the teams to kind of be looking out for as the season kind of lies ahead. So it's going to be interesting weekend for sure.
Yeah, I do think I mean the last couple of years this is the VVAL has kind of been Justin's league. They've kind of owned it the last couple of seasons, but it does see and again I think that they will be the team to probably they're still I think the team to beat and until proven otherwise even with all their guys gone, but I think there is there's some chance for some Petalumas and some AmCams, some teams like that to really kind of step up and give them a good run for their money. I know Petaluma beat them last year. I think you're going to say that in the VVAL championship game. After they had two really close games in the regular season, and also Petaluma brings back all of their guards from last year, so they should be I mean I think they're going to be one of the better teams I'd say in from Sonoma County this year. So should be very fun league to watch. I think I mean again I think over here in the NBL and in Sonoma I think it's just kind of Montgomery, and then I think there's probably a relatively large gap between everybody else. But I think over in Napa there's going to be a lot more kind of parity in the VVAL this year.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, go ahead, Keenan.
Yeah, no. I totally agree with what you guys are saying. I know last year Anton Petaluma's head coach Anton Lyons, he was really high on his guys. And I don't expect that to change. I mean, he's always high on his I don't know if you've met him. I don't know if you've met him yet, Jordan, but this guy, he's got all the confidence in the world about his guys. Gus and I know him pretty well. No, great guy. But yeah, so it's it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot more competitive parity this year, not only on the Napa scene, but on the Sonoma County scene, albeit from maybe Montgomery. But from some of the other teams too. Keep in mind the Windsor team that you saw, they were without some of their football players. Joseph Campbell, Hayden Anderson, Judson Anderson as well. So they are
When they get them guys back, they're going to be dangerous. They are going to be dangerous. They play the right way. They move the ball, they move off the ball. Those are things that are really hard for high school players to kind of really get a grip on, I think, early in the season. But in game, that was our first game of the season. To do that on the road against a Justin team that won the league, that first half was very, very close. So when they get those guys back, they're gonna figure out their thing for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was pretty interesting because obviously, they had one of the great coaches in Sonoma County history. Steve Kramer last year would be, Alec Cobry coming in first year head coach. It would be interesting to see what he does, and you got the first look at him, and it seems like he's doing pretty well. So,
yeah, 100%
yeah, interesting. Gus, were you going to say something?
No, but I was just gonna kind of tell everyone listening that we'll probably do a little more basketball potting and prep stuff probably once football wraps up. I'm gonna kind of get the ball rolling on some NBL basketball previews this week. While Keenan's focusing on football end of season stuff. St. Vincent trying to keep their season going. But yeah, I guess I'll just stay tuned for more basketball content coming up here in a couple weeks. Just as the season kind of gets going. I know Montgomery has the Peterich tournament coming up this weekend. There was the Napa Boys tournament coming up as well. I know Cardinal Newman girls have a big tournament coming up this weekend with some, really good state ranked schools.
Mm-hmm.
Newman girls top 20 in the state right now. I think they just lost this past weekend to St. Mary's from Stockton. Who I believe is like a top 10, top 5 team in the state or something like that. So only an 8-point loss for Newman, and that's also without Tysa Quiroz, who is their Brazilian international student, who I believe is still, as far as from the information that we have, she's not eligible to play right now. Newman, I know, is hopeful that she'll be eligible to play at some point in the season. Still waiting on, I guess, clearance from the NCS or the CAF, and not anyway. So if and when they get her back, they're going to be, I've seen people talk about her or talk about Newman as being a top 5 team in the state. So, but still, even without her, they hang tough against, a very, very good St. Mary's Stockton team. So anyway, all the basketball stuff coming up here in a couple of weeks, but we'll be getting the ball rolling on that stuff coming up. And also, soccer starting up, wrestling starting up. So this is it's always so
the transition.
Busy. The transition is always so busy, especially because come December too, we're gonna start doing all of our all Empire, all Press Democrat teams and such. And this year too, and this year too, kind of with with Jordan coming on board, we'll have some Napa players also considered for some of those awards as well. So a lot of stuff coming up, these next couple weeks as far as, wrap up football season stuff, heading into winter sports, and then kind of some postseason fall stuff. But I know that, Keenan, last year we didn't really do the pod over winter season. That was partially my fault, just because I was off on leave for about a month and a half. But I do think that we should try to keep this going as far as hoop stuff goes.
Oh, especially with Jordan now. Yeah.
Yeah. With Jordan on too, I think we should definitely try to kind of get this to be more of a year-round thing. So, yeah, we'll see how that kind of works, because obviously it's a bit different with football having one game a week, and we can talk about all of them kind of succinctly, where for basketball there's multiple games and we kind of have to wrap them all up, in a succinct way. So we'll figure out some way to do that, but it shouldn't be hard. So anyway, more pods coming.
You say that as we've had 20 cuts this episode, and I'm gonna have my work cut out for me editing this damn thing.
But see, our viewers are never in there. Our viewers are never going to know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll get some behind the scenes.
Jordan had to get his Christmas decorations. That's all I'm going to say.
It was a present. Exactly. It was a present. It was a present for my dad, and he's telling me to come sign for it. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on, man?
All right.
Actually, yeah, well, screw it, Keenan. Leave it all in the pod. Leave it all.
Oh, God. All right. Well, anyways, that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you guys all for joining us, watching, listening, however you consume this content. We'll be back next week. Other than that, thank you everyone, and we'll see you next week.